In today's comedy, the good Jonathan and of course the
Jonathan.
attractive Shiva are playing again.
Die attraktive Shiva.
Welcome to the Matrixers. In today's video, of course, as we promised, we're doing part 2 on the Inner Earth, namely the interview by Sharula Dukes. And we want to pass on some information to you that we found out and collected from there. And I would say let's get started right away, shall we? Yes, let's. So today is about the interview between Joanna Cherry and Sharula Dukes. Sharula Dukes stated in this interview that she is an Inner Earth resident and Joanna Cherry asked her how is life in the Inner Earth. How do people live there, the inner people or inner people within the Inner Earth? And in that 1995 interview, Joanna Cherry just interviewed Sharula Dukes. What life is like in the Inner Earth, how the inner worlds live there, how their communication is structured and what kind of equipment they have there, what possibilities there are, how everything is organized, so that you can imagine it a little better can. And because the interview is very interesting, Shiva and I thought that maybe we would then share the information of this interview with you. Very exciting, I have to say. Very interesting. Of course, we could not verify the authenticity of the interview 100%, but we did a little research and many of the statements that Sharula Dukes gave in this interview can also be found in witness reports and some parallels to life in the inner Earth. And yes, it's very interesting, don't you think? Yes, it is definitely very interesting. But what we have to say about it, since we haven't memorized everything, we'll read it out now, as far as possible. Yes, exactly. And then I would say, let's get started. In the interview, the Sharula just reports from the city of Telos. And that means as much as oneness with the Spirit. And this city was 25,000 years ago as the second major civilization on Earth, and that's where the Lemurs and the Atlanteans existed. Currently 1 million inner Earthers live in Telos, but initially there were only about 25,000. Lemuria was the technologically inferior race, but spiritually advanced. Atlantis continued to try to control Lemuria and it ended in a gigantic war in which both continents perished, accompanied by earthquakes, tsunamis and also volcanic eruptions. Thereupon the survivors withdrew into the Inner Earth, and the whole southwest of the USA was called Telos. Yes, that also agrees a bit with the information I received telepathically. Exactly. That at a certain point in history they withdrew into the inner world or into the Inner Earth. Yes, and apparently the whole southwest of the USA is said to be underneath the city of Telos, which is now said to be home to over 1.5 million inner worlders. Yes, that's quite a lot. And Mount Shasta is already such a key point. There's probably a way to get there somehow. Yes, it's supposed to be there and I was looking for it when I was there. Ah, you were there. I climbed Mount Shasta, but unfortunately I didn't get very far, because then suddenly there was a 3-meter high wall of snow on the road. And yes, that's where the road ends for me. That's a shame. You picked the wrong time. But it was summer, wasn't it? No, that was in April last year. Was there still incredibly high wall of I might put in a photo.
Gleich mal ein Foto ein.
Ja, auch
Yes,
Atlanta
the
hat
Atlanteans also built underground cities, most
allem unter dem Mato
notably under the Mato Grosso Plateau
in Brasilien
and this
und
is also referred to as the Agartha network, with about 120 cities according to Sharula Dukes.
20 Städten laut Sharula Dux.
The Lemuria who lived there first had to convince the Atlanteans that they had learned from their mistakes and would now follow the course towards peace.
Die aus ihren Fehlern gelernt hatten und jetzt dem Kurs Richtung Frieden folgen würden.
And only then were they allowed to settle there.
Sich auch da niederlassen.
Es wurden
4 plateaus were built. 4 plateaus were built under the plateau.
Ebene gebaut,
So there were 5 levels in total.
5 Ebenen. Auf
On the plateau, which is the main part of the city, most of the residents live there and most trade takes place there too.
Handelsverkehr findet dort auch statt,
And that's where most of the public buildings can be found.
Gebäude zu finden.
In the center of Telos is the temple, which the inner earthers once again, it
Inneradler
is actually easier to read from there. Yes, I think so too.
ja, ja.
So, in the center of Telos is the temple.
Denn
Because the Inneradler are a temple community and it was built, around 10,000 accommodate residents.
gebaut, 10.000 Einwohner aufzunehmen.
The temple is white and pyramid-shaped and built of living stone.
Lebendigen Stein gebaut.
This is a substance that comes from Venus.
Stammt
It looks crystalline and radiates in the spectrum of all colors.
aller Farben. Der
The temple is dedicated,
ist von der Ordnung
by the order of Melchizedek, a cosmic priesthood of our universe, to the embodiment of the plan of light given to us by the higher divine planes.
Ebenen gegeben wurde.
Also on the plateau are the council and archive buildings,
Gebäude
with records from Lemuria, Atlantis and Egypt and those from past
und die
civilizations, Earth civilizations and civilizations from other planets.
Zivilisation anderer Planeten.
Yes, there should also be places to rest there, so that the residents can play, have fun, and do sports.
Sport machen können.
There are even movies, music and dancing. So it's not like they're a sad people.
Wären das ein trauriges Volk.
Doesn't sound like they're having fun. Sharula
Behauptet sogar, es gibt dort
even claims there's a sort of space that's set up like Star Trek, this holodeck that's really computer controlled.
das wirklich computergesteuert ist.
And this computer can create any holographic reality or any holographic place in this room.
Realität oder jeden holographischen Ort
And then you can move in it or experience things in it.
darin eben Sachen erleben. Ne?
So that sounds very exciting.
Spannend. Dieser
This computer is
soll auch
also supposed to work some kind of multi-tracking amino-based principle.
Prinzip funktionieren
I don't even know how you can imagine that.
kann, weiß ich jetzt auch nicht.
So they should be alive, the computers. Yes, they should already have their own artificial intelligence, be able to think for themselves and also be in Christ consciousness, these computers.
Sich auch im Christusbewusstsein, diese Computer.
They operate on the basis of Christ consciousness, right? A good reason to go there. And by
Und
the way, these computers cannot be manipulated because they are based on Christ consciousness. Yes, exactly.
und
And
die
the computers can also record and reproduce the past. They can read out the aura or the state of health of people. They can determine
Zustand von
and diagnose and try to capture soul music in it and can also play it back.
versuchen auch deine Seelenmusik zu erfassen und können die auch wiedergeben. Außerdem
In addition, they should also be connected to the cosmic consciousness, which means that they can also communicate with other planets.
Planeten kommunizieren und
That must be a great computer. I would like to have one at home, right?
zu Hause stehen, oder?
Genau.
Exactly.
Den hätte ich auch.
I would also like to have that standing.
Genau. Dann kommen wir mal
Then we come to the second, third and up to the fifth level.
zur Ebene. Auf der zweiten
On the second level there are classes, clothes and furniture making.
Stellung
On the third level are the hydroponic gardens where the food is grown.
angebaut wird.
We are since 12,000 years vegetarian, says Sharula Dukes, and yes, I think they live very healthy there.
Ja, ich glaube, die leben das sehr gesund.
Yes, you have to imagine that there are apparently several layers in the inner earth. Just like floors are built up in a building, and yes, that
in einem Gebäude aufgebaut sind.
seems
Und
to be very space-saving.
ja, das scheint ja sehr platzsparend zu sein.
Yes, somehow. Yes. And on the
Auf der
fourth level there are lots of gardens, handicrafts, and lots of
Handarbeit
nature.
und viel Natur. Viele, ja, ich denke,
Yes, I think they're just growing there. A lot of growing, so that they have a lot of food down there. Above all, I think, mainly fruit.
denke ich mal, hauptsächlich Obst.
Yes, as I saw the set table, once on an out-of-body experience in the inner earth.
Bei einer Astralreise in inneren Erde,
Everything was full of fruit, such berries that were so big.
groß waren.
Well, you once had a blueberry that was so big.
Heidelbeere, ne, die war dann so groß.
A blueberry.
Eine Heidelbeere. Also das ist schon
So that's pretty phenomenal.
Genau, und auf der
And then on the fifth level there is a completely natural environment, and it should invite you to relax.
zum Entspannen einladen. Ja, die Tiere in der
The animals of the inner earth live in harmony with the inhabitants. They were trained to eat a vegetarian diet and stripped of their aggression.
die Aggression aberzogen.
also beißt
So they don't bite down there anymore.
Ja, dann hat ja
Yes, then Jonathan already mentioned the last video, the light source, and that it consists
dass sie aus
of a crystal.
Metall besteht.
And Sharula Dukes confirms that too. Namely, the light sources are highly crystalline stones that fuse with an electromagnetic energy field.
Magnetischen Energiefeld fusionieren.
This causes a crystalline matrix of the stones to create polarity so that invisible light is converted into full spectral light.
In volles spektrales Licht umgewandelt wird.
The stone then becomes a small sun and lasts about 500,000 years. At night, the sun is dimmed to achieve a 24-hour rhythm. Doesn't sound bad either. Yes. That doesn't sound bad.
also der Sauerstoff
The oxygen down there naturally comes in through the North Pole opening. But oxygen is also obtained for the residents through plants and trees.
Sauerstoff gewonnen für die Bewohner
And
und
the water moves at a higher speed there than we are used to here on Earth.
dass hier auf der Erde gewohnt sind und das
And that is what provides the circulating air and the negative ions.
negativen Ionen.
There is also a means of transport there.
Dort, hier haben drei
You have 3 different transport options. First, there is a basket of crystalline technology. Well, I haven't seen anything like that, which is controlled with a spirit and is used for short distances within Telos. That means something like a bus, only that's not a bus, but a basket for short distances.
Das heißt, das ist sowas wie ein Bus. Nur das ist kein Bus, sondern ein Korb. Ne?
Then there is an electromagnetic sled that is used in the city and can
Schlitten, der in der Stadt
cover 80 kilometers in a few minutes.
in wenigen Minuten 80 Kilometer schaffen kann. Also
So it has a bit of speed then. Then there is an electromagnetic path that has or can achieve several 1,000 kilometers per hour.
Stunde aufweist oder leistet
And so you can just cover the other distances.
die weiteren Strecken zurücklegen.
It seems to be some kind of subway system or maybe some kind of train system.
Oder vielleicht so eine Art Zugbahnsystem.
Yes, exactly. The train often goes through tubes and you can use it to visit underground cities.
Unterirdische Städte besuchen.
You can also get into deeper levels.
Kann man dann auch hinein
So they are very well networked with public transport.
mit öffentlichen Verkehrsmitteln. Also privat.
Well, there is no such thing as private transport down there. Like cars or bicycles and such things. There is no such thing down there.
Das gibt es dort nicht.
Genau,
Exactly.
und es gibt auch
And there are also 3 ways to get to the surface. One leads through Mount Shasta, as we told you last time, with the small UFOs or the mothership.
oder dem Mutterschiff. Und die
And the entrances are holographically obscured so that you can't find them.
Und es war
And there is also a train and a subway,
U-Bahn. So wie es unsere
just like ours and these little spaceships. Yes, the spaceships are of course there to get to the surface and yes or
Fläche zu kommen.
even to leave the planet.
Ja, oder auch den Planeten zu verlassen.
genau.
They call the little spaceships the Silver Fleet.
Flotte.
They often have 3 motherships, and when they fly out, the mountain actually opens up physically, like Mount Shasta, it opens up physically.
Also der Mount Shasta, da öffnet sich physisch.
And so as not to frighten people, there is a machine that creates a cloud, and also creates a concealment of the mothership.
Wolke erschafft und ebenso eine Verschleierung des Mutterschiffes erzeugt.
Yes, there are a lot of pictures of these clouds on the internet. You could do some research there, Mount Shasta, and then click on pictures on Google at the top, and then a few pictures will catch your eye that show these saucer-shaped clouds.
Auf Bilder und dann werden euch schon ein paar Bilder ins Auge fallen, die eben diese untertassenförmigen Wolken darstellen.
Genau.
Of course you're told it's all natural, but no, it's not natural.
Nicht natürlichen Ursprungs.
Ja, dann hat die
Yes, then the Joanna asked a question, and that is if Sharula can describe a typical life in Telos from birth.
Leben in Telos von Geburt an beschreiben kann.
Ah ja, sehr gut.
Very interesting, huh?
Und was sagt
And what does the Sharula say about that?
Nun,
Well, when a woman first realizes that she is pregnant, she goes to a temple room where she receives a lot of loving support, with beautiful pictures and beautiful music.
mit wunderschönen Bildern und wunderschöner Musik. So betrachtet
So she sees her baby as beautiful and perfect.
perfekt. Diese
This love and perfection enters directly into the cells as wonderful, uplifting blocks.
ein,
Both parents speak to the children with great love, sing with them, etc.
ihn und so weiter. Auf diese
That way they know they are truly loved.
wird die Schwangerschaft
Pregnancy there lasts only 3 months. Only 3 months?
3 Monate nur?
ja,
Was eine Erleichterung.
What a relief for women, isn't it? Sounds good.
Ah ja, Babys werden schwer.
Babies are born in water without pain. Giving birth in water is supposed to be much more painless than the way we do it up here, and more natural. More natural. 30 minutes after birth the child stays in the water,
30 Minuten nach
on the umbilical cord.
im Wasser, an der Nabelschnur,
Until it is able to breathe on its own.
selbstständig zu atmen. Der Vater bleibt
The father stays at home completely for the first 2 years. Long paternity leave, really long, and helps with the difficult development period of the child.
in Entwicklungszeit des Kindes. Ja.
Education begins at the age of 3, and that means reading, meditation, dance, sport, mathematics, even acting, abstract concepts and drama are taught.
Schauspiel, abstrakte Konzepte und Dramatik.
But I don't know what the abstract concepts are now.
Jetzt aber nicht. Da hat
Joanna Cherry must have forgotten to ask. Yes.
mit 5 Jahren
At the age of 5, now listen, at the age of 5 the child learns out-of-body experience.
Astralreisen. Und
And so on to learn.
das heißt,
This means that
die Kinder besuchen
the children then visit the archives of the past and look at contemporary history independently, so that the child can firstly look at what interests them in the past, and secondly, they can also see for themselves what is true now and what is not.
passiert und zweitens sich auch davon selbst überzeugen kann, was jetzt stimmt und was nicht.
And that is a very important factor.
Faktor, das fehlt hier oben.
That's missing up here.
Sie besuchen auch die
They also visit the surface of other planets, and they learn to manifest things from the invisible into the visible.
Oberbare zu manifestieren.
And also visit the surface here, or something. Yes, at least they travel astrally up here. Like in my out-of-body experience. Someone who had invited me came up to me.
Auch einer auf mich zugekommen, der mich da eingeladen hatte.
It was also in his astral body.
ja, in Telos gibt
Yes,
es kein
in Telos there is no madness, no crime, no property. Everyone has everything they need.
Sie haben sogar Haustiere.
They even have pets, and stole some ideas from the surface of the earth, like pizza, chocolate. Right.
Und die Inner
And the innerlers are about 30 centimeters taller than the people on the surface.
Oberfläche. Und sie haben etwa ein
And they have a life expectancy of several 100 to 1,000 years. We don't age in Telos, she says. And there is even one who already has 30,000 years old. Oh my God, 30,000 years in the Matrix, not bad either.
Auch nicht schlecht.
But it seems really nice down there.
Wenn mal ein Bewohner
When a resident dies, Sharula says, which can only happen through an accident, he rises and brings his body into lighter dimensions.
lichtere Dimensionen. Diejenigen, die nicht bereit
Those who are not ready to ascend learn how to leave the body and dematerialize it.
sind, ihn zu dematerialisieren.
Practice.
ja, beruflich kann
Yeah, professionally, everyone is free to choose what they want to do.
da kein Zwang.
There's no compulsion. There is no money in the inner earth. Because everything is based on exchange.
Die
The government owns everything but has no control over it. If you need something, you just go to the distribution points and get it. Community work like garbage and gardening in parks or something like that is done in cycles by each resident. The High Council and the priests are not exempt from this either, they all take part. I think that's nice. Government, everyone helps clean up the garbage in cycles. That would be something if Angela Merkel emptied my garbage can. That would be something. I would say that's a commitment to the country, yes. So, as she says, Telos is governed by a council of 12 people, as well as a high priest, or a queen or a king. The council consists of 6 women and 6 men, all of whom are ascended masters. They then make government decisions. It's been around for 30,000 years, a royal line that is unbroken. The royal couple decides which child or grandchild is most suitable for the job. This then goes through a complete temple training and becomes a Melchizedek priest or priestess. There are also weddings on Telos. A distinction is made between a binding marriage and a holy marriage. Partners in a binding marriage have no children there. But once a committed marriage is very deep and lasts a very long time, the couple can choose to have a sacred marriage. And all children from the inner earth come from sacred marriages. Yes, that's actually the content of the information about the interview by Joanna Cherry and Sharula Dukes. You can also look it up on Google if you want. There are more details for those who are interested. So we found the interview very exciting and very interesting, even if the authenticity cannot really be clarified now. But I think there is a lot of information in there that also applies. And yes, if you are interested, you can do your own research. Exactly. And the interview is of course a shorter version. If you want to read the long version, you can also check it out on your blog. On matrixblogger.de. Here's the unabridged version of the interview. Exactly. You can read it again and look up all the details. Exactly. And then we collected some information from Ramtha that we would like to share with you. The more information there is, the better. Then you can make up your own mind. And Ramtha says that all who live there in the inner earth are connected by the power of love and the light of their being, illuminating their level, their heart and their being. You have no religion. Their greatest love is for the objects that they become. They can manifest and become anything. Yes, and Ramtha says before they went into the inner earth and established their existence down there, their skin tone was neither white nor brown, it was a mixture of both. And when they got into the inner earth, they adjusted, and because of the oxidizing gases that are partial down there, accumulating on the walls of the inner earth, their skin has a green or purple color. Assumed turquoise color. This was also due to the water they drank and the smoky light of their central sun. Exactly. The Arctic current leads to the interior of the Earth. It doesn't get colder there either, but warmer and more tropical towards the poles. Another opening is in Antarctica. There is an opening where the sea flows in. And anyone who tries to make contact with a sincere heart and get into the Earth will also be accepted. Yes, that's what I heard too. But yes, that they really sometimes let some into the inner earth, even physically. That means they get in touch with you and then say, watch out, come here and there now and then we'll take you with us. Yes. That was actually our video for today with Sharula's interview and some information from Ramtha, and I would say goodbye for today, right? Yes, I hope you find it as interesting as we do. And yes, we wish you a lot of fun, and maybe you also have a few ideas or some additional information. Of course, we would be happy to just write them in the comments below.
freuen. Einfach unten in die Kommentare schreiben. Vielleicht fällt euch
Maybe you can think of something else, or you've heard or read something exciting.
gelesen. Könnt ihr ja einfach mal reinschreiben.
You can just write in. We would be very happy. And give us a like. Yes.
Okay, macht's gut. Bis nächstes
Alright.
Mal. Ciao.
See you next time. Bye.